Welcome everybody to a Wolf Mindset. I'm very excited to announce that we have a very talented Graham Webber and very pleased to have him on board today. And the reason why I was excited to get Graham here today was because when I first met him, I realized not only was he a hypnotist, but being quite successful within the army. And then little did I know, after a few hours of meeting him, he was then pulling out a deck of cards and conducting magic. So I thought, oh, bloody hell, this fella really knows a lot of talents, a lot of tricks, a lot of skills. And to top it off, we went to the bar at the end of the night after this sort of convention we was at, and he randomly pulls out a guitar and then starts singing as well to everybody. So I am guilty of saying a very known quote to him, which is, "You are a very talented person, Mr. Webber." And that was on the first day that we met. Now, Graham has a very good insight into limiting beliefs. And from meeting him, it's quite clear that nothing stops him in learning new skills and overcoming any barriers which is going to prevent him from being the best version of himself. So that is why when I had the opportunity to start this Wolf Mindset interviews, Graham was one of the top on my list. So with that introduction, I'm going to hand it over to Graham to now formally introduce yourself. Graham, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. So yeah, as we were saying just before we even started this, yeah, a lot of people do say, you're really talented. How do you do it? And I believe I have some talents. I don't believe I'm really talented. I believe I've had a locked away time where I've spent a lot of time learning how to do a lot of things. Some people may say I've had too much time on my hands, but what I want to do today is I want to go through how it is that I've been able to learn some things, the sort of approach and mindset that I've had, which has allowed me in order to build up this knowledge of what I can share and how it's helped me to become the entertainer and the hypnotist that I've been able to do. Just a little bit of a background on me, like he's mentioned that, yeah, I've got a working life military. As well as that, in my spare time, I do hypnotherapy, and I'm also a magician, wedding magician, an entertainer, because I enjoy it. I started learning these skills way after school. During school, I wasn't really the educated sort of person. I'd always have little hobbies. I remember playing with a yo-yo and things like that. And I'd spend a lot of time, dedication, just learning these tricks. But I never really had much more about me. I wasn't really a keen footballer. I played a bit of basketball. And when started saving to get married, so I was 19 at the time. I got married when I was 21. I came across magic online, and I'd always had an insight. I'd always loved it, but I wondered to myself, how could I do that? I'd love to learn, and it just come down to being showed a trick. I think all of us at some point have been shown a trick by a grandparent or someone that, whether it's the karate card, the trick when you smack it at the end and they show the card, look at you, Ian. But it's something that resonates with someone, and everyone's always saying, how is it you fan a deck of cards? A lot of practice. How is it you do a shuffle where it's all going crazy and stuff? A lot of practice. But at first, I had to achieve something which made me want to go to that next step further. And this is something that's happened all the way through my life. Don't get me wrong. I have my own barriers. Of course I do. Because if I was to be talented at everything, I would literally have no time left on my hands because I'd just be constantly practicing all the time. Yeah, when it comes to my thought process first, I want to go through this and just get you a little bit of an understanding. I don't want this to be the Graham Webber show, not by any stretch of imagination. What I want to do is explain how I've been able to gather up my own motives to be able to learn these things, and hopefully get you away going, maybe I can actually do that, because I can guarantee someone watching this, whether it's now or on the replay or something, may have wanted to learn magic at some point in their life, may have wanted to learn guitar, may have wanted to achieve a goal of some sort, whether running a marathon, whatever it may be, but it's just stopped themselves from doing that. And I want to tell you today that you can achieve it. The question is, how long will it take to achieve it? That's the simple solution to this whole thing. I want you to just think to yourself, really, what was the last thing that you tried to achieve, and why did you fail at it? And the only reason I asked, why did you fail at it? Is because otherwise you'd be doing it all the time now. You may have, don't get me wrong, you may have achieved something, but I want to know there's something that you may have failed. I remember at first I had to learn for my magic tricks. One of the hardest things to do is force a card. Not going into too deep to magic, but there's a way of being able to spread through a deck and make sure that certain people get a specific card. And I have really small hands, so dexterity was very difficult with card magic. So I had to find ways of breaking it down in order to be able to achieve that. Now, the famous quote of the bloke who made it the light bulb was not that how long did it take him to make a light bulb, it was how many times you found, or how many times did he fail to make a light bulb? It's how many times do you find a way of not to make a light bulb? And it's the same with anything else that you do. And however often you try, you need to look at that approach of what you went to do it. And next time it comes round to doing it, if it didn't work, don't use that same approach, because you'll just run yourself into that same avenue. I can use that example with me trying to go to the gym. I'm not the most buffest of blokes. I'm not someone who likes to go to the gym lifting weights all the time. You could say I get anxiety around it because I've never had a father figure to take me to the gym and teach me these things. When I go there, I always think, is it chest and tries? Is it back and buys? Is it legs? It should just be, what is it? Which techniques go together? But recently I had to start taking my son to the gym because he wants to start building up a better presence on himself. So all of a sudden, when I've got someone younger looking at me to achieve this, I'm pushing myself in a different manner now to make sure that I go there, to make sure I'm pulling him along, to make sure that he's going. Yes, I'm in the military, but in the military, most of the time we're just running or carrying a bag and running around for them different approaches too. So just remember that if you are failing at something or you can't achieve something, whether you've tried to play guitar before and you're looking at these chords and you just can't get your finger there, you just haven't practiced enough. It's quite a simple thing now. I remember when I was younger, I very first wanted to learn to play the guitar, and my stepdad's brother come along. He played guitar as well, and he started to teach me a D chord, which is on the high strings. It's a bit like a triangular sort of shape. You're having to hold your fingers like this, and you're having to strum only certain strings. And I remember making a clatter, and again, I've only got small hands, so the strings were like knocking onto each other, and I couldn't properly achieve it. And then, as I was doing that, they were asking me to move up and down the scale. It just made it even harder. And I believed I couldn't play the guitar. I just believed I couldn't, until again, I was like around about 19 years old. So my magic and my guitar all come at the same time. And I was giving my friend a list, and he said, I'll take you through it. And he showed me a different chord shape. He showed me a different song. And the song was actually Stereophonics Traffic. And he was like, show me these different things. He was like, yeah, you just got a sheet and just like this, and just a basic strum. There's the first bit. And if you sing along to it, this is how it sounds. Here's the next chord, a little strum, play along to it. If you get better, you can try and add what's known as a hammer on, which is when you just tickle your finger onto something. I was like, okay. And for me, magic and music was something I absolutely loved. So all of a sudden I was, we all face the same ways, showing, we all take those there. Really slow. Come 3 weeks later, I was strumming along to that one song, tried to play another song, nothing had happened, nothing would happen. But because I was constantly going at these same 3-4 chords, I made something different, and it really lightened me up inside. Does that make sense? Yeah, it really lightened me up inside. So it then made me want to learn another song, which was Wonderwall.
So you loved it. You went through the process because you found your love for it, would you say?
Well, it's not just the fact that I loved it. I managed to find something that I thought was impossible.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I started to sing along to it that I realized how much I was enjoying it even more. And it was really that thing that I thought back to how, so my stepdad's brother was, when he was doing it, he was more lead guitars. That's the ones who go all the way up and all the way down and everything. Whereas rhythm's more my thing. Like I said, I still have limitations. I'm not a lead guitarist. I'm not right up there going full slash. I'm much more rhythm. And I find I have a natural rhythm within me. But it still took me a long time to gain that rhythm. My only advantage, which I do think is natural, is that I learned as I was playing to sing at the same time. Some people can't do that. And maybe it's practice. I don't know. So I'm trying not to go too off piece here too much with it. But so obviously he then taught me how to play Wonderwall. Now, looking at the chords would say you're playing like an E minor, a G, a C, and stuff like that. And that's a lot of movement. Whereas, no, really, you play it this way. And he just showed me what was known as a cheap version, where you're only moving 2 fingers each time. Okay, that's a lot easier. I can play that quite quick. And then he did the same with Don't Look Back in Anger as well. I was like, okay, that's a lot easier. So all of a sudden, my fingers were moving a lot quicker as well. I was singing along a lot more. I started enjoying it. My wife still said I sounded crap, but I enjoyed it. So it made me smile. And because I was smiling, I kept wanting to learn more. And really, the rest of that is history. But what I noticed is that the more I was moving my fingers, the easier and easier a deck of cards got in my hands, because all of a sudden the movements that I required in order to do something with my dexterity assisted too. Now, when it comes to, obviously, so that's for the guitar. And for the Magic as well, the one big thing I had in common, and I said it pretty much at the start, it's not about me being talented. It's about me having the time to dedicate myself to or multiple arts. Okay. I wanted to achieve this. So I achieved it. That's the main thing. If you wanted to make a wolf pack, Ian, you are doing this because you want to achieve it and you've got a desire to help so many people out there, which you're doing really well. Okay. And at the same time, at that moment, I think, so to be honest with you, I think where it comes from is, and I've said this to you before when we've had a beer, I very much was an introvert when I was younger. And it used to be because I'd hung around with people older than me, my brother's friends and such like that. So I was always getting told to shut up and that sort of thing. So I could never speak out very much. So as soon as I started playing guitar, or as soon as I had a deck of cards in my hand, it created a different Graham, which meant people wanted to listen to what I was doing and see and achieve it, which gave me a different belief. Like I said, when I was younger, I never believed I could have done any of this, not one bit. But as soon as I started finding something that made me happy. So I'll quickly go, there's a simple trick.
Go take it. That's a trick. What to see?
When you take a card, you place it right back into the middle of the deck. Okay. And you just slide it in, and just for a wave and the click of the fingers, you see how it jumps straight back to the top. So even if I took that card, slide it right to the middle, placed it back on top, no funny business. You can click your fingers and you see how it jumps straight back to the top. Now that's one of the most basic card tricks in Magic.
Yeah.
And if I told you to slap myself on the face.
But it's good though.
Thank you.
That's the thing.
And that's the thing, is as soon as I found a trick which resonated with me, I was like, okay, so I can do that. I went and did it. So I was like, that's the thing that I want to be able to achieve. And I attached something to it, which made an emotive within me, which made me want to carry on. Still to this day, there's tricks which I still do from what I very first ever learned, including that one and many others, because they were the ones which made me feel like this. They're the ones which made me feel like God. Now, like I said before, how many times have we all tried to do something and failed? The reason I asked that question is because I failed at playing the guitar. I had as good as said, I'm not going to do it anymore. I put my guitar up in my attic and I never did it until someone said, oh yeah, I'll show you the simple way of how I play. And I've seen how he played it. It's quite simple. But like I said, I had to change the approach of what it was. Rather than trying to go for the really difficult string holds, like some people go straight for what's known as power chords, which is holding, you see rockers like this. And they're like, oh, why can't I do it? It's because your hand's going into cramp and you can't do it. Or bar chords where you're holding literally you're holding your fingers like this. And you have to, this one finger has to hold all 6 strings down. It becomes impossible. It took me a year to first land the bar chord. And that was the year of constant playing, because you have to build up all them muscles in your hands.
So consistency is key.
Yes, absolutely.
What kept you motivated? Because there must have been, you can say you enjoy it, but there must have been points where you thought, oh, how do you keep going? Are those points where you think, I'm tired of doing this? This is the point where most people give up. What kept you going?
So it was the main bit of it was the reactions of what people gave me. I could do a mini course on Magic right now, and you're like, oh, is that how you did it? Now, the Magic's not about knowing the secrets. Magic is about making other people be wowed. Simple as that. If you can make someone go, even if out of 10 people go, so you put that in your pocket, mate. That one person goes, it's worth every single minute. It's worth every minute and every moment of it, because it doesn't, it's just like being a hypnotist. And that first time you go, sleep. Yeah. Someone actually that, or you get that phenomena, whatever it may be, it's that it's that slightly addictive achievement thing. And back to your question, sorry, the reason it's always carried on is because I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you say one of the biggest things for people to overcome limiting belief is to find out what fuels their fire? How can they make it adapted for them to enjoy it? Even say mundane things that they maybe not want to do, learn an instrument, but the payoff could be to provide that talent to a group of people, which is what they would love.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's try and think of some things which would create a limiting belief right now. Losing weight. Why would someone want to lose weight? Because they want to look better for themselves. Okay, why can't they lose weight? Sometimes it's because they're actually comfortable with themselves, partially already. Maybe it's because if they were to lose weight, then they believe that they're going to be attracted by more people, which could lead them into temptation. That's a possibility. They could also think, let's go with smoking. If they stop smoking, their belief is that they're going to start eating, although there is absolutely no connection to that. So what is it that's stopping what is it that's making that person's belief? So sometimes it's all about tipping your toe into something and realizing how it's changed. Now, how can we do that? How do most people look at their lives every single day? Now, for a lot of people, they will eat their food in a specific way. They will get dressed in a specific way. Whereas what they really need to do is change something. Now, not try and just change your weight, try and change something else in your life so you're not living that same pattern. Because we all remember Groundhog Day. Listen, the more that we keep doing something exactly the same every single day, the failed opportunities will keep getting the same answer. If you keep trying to, if you keep trying doing something in that wrong way, you're never going to get the right result.
Einstein says, what is it? Insanity is doing the same thing every day and expecting a different result.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is it, isn't it?
That's it.
So these limiting beliefs then, from your perspective, because you've got a variety of different limiting beliefs, I think one of the hardest things for people to do is discover that they have a limiting belief, because they go on a daily habit, the daily routines, and that they're constantly telling themselves in the background that I'm too old to start going to the gym.
Too busy.
I'm too busy to find the time to do this, to do that. And then they shut down any further thoughts on it, and they just put that belief as something to pop up to stop them, to keep them comfortable. Sometimes it's to keep them comfortable in their current life, and sometimes it's through the fear or whatever it is. So what's your opinion on where you think, so first of all, describe what you think a limiting belief is and where you think they come from.
It's when you believe you can do something, but then something overtalks you from doing it. Yeah, let's just keep using weight. I'm going to lose weight. And then your limiting belief is, but I am eating the wrong foods, which is to stop me from doing this. No, actually, the thing that's stopping you from losing weight is the fact you signed up to gym membership, but you only go there once a month, that's the actual reason to it. But your limiting belief is that it's the food. So you need to try and change the food. Whereas what you really need to do is look at everything in the whole category of weight and manage it all at once. And by managing it all at once, it's by not just saying, I'm going to give myself one day a week. A fit person is not someone who does 2 hours of fitness once a week. Yeah. A fit person is someone who dedicates 15 hard minutes every single day for the rest of their lives. That's a fit person. And when you want to be fit, I think we all know them people who drastically lost weight and started running marathons or something. Their bodies have gone from obese slobs, I'm going to use that terminology, into absolutely trim athletes. And the reason being is because every single day they've kept that little bit of motivation, that 15 minutes. The only difference is that after so long, that 15 minutes goes to half an hour because their body needs a little bit more. And because they start to enjoy themselves, they start to appreciate themselves, that 15 minutes then becomes an hour or whatever. But every single day they do that 15 minutes, and that 15 minutes develops into something else. When it comes to guitar playing, I actually got that tip. I can't remember who it was from now. I can't remember his name, but it was never play more than half an hour a day. Never play more than half an hour a day, because you'll get yourself frustrated, you'll lose something, and you'll find your way. So after half an hour, I put it, unless it was a song that I knew, and obviously, but I was learning
focused,
unless it was something, half an hour every single day, that's it. I go upstairs and just have a play. Because one of the things is, as much as we have limiting beliefs and can't believe things, when you start to do something that you're enjoying, you don't realize that you can reflect on many other things without even knowing. Your brain, even though you're processing other things, look, I'm playing the guitar, air guitar now. At the same time, you're relaxing and it's allowing your brain to do other things, which allows things in the past already to focus through as well. And then it becomes a lot easier. You're releasing endorphins because you're enjoying yourself. Don't get me wrong, we do get frustrated at times, but you'll always finish doing something in the end with something you enjoy. Even if, hey, Ian, I know you're a gym goer. Whenever you finish at the gym, you'll always finish on an exercise that you enjoy without even knowing. And most important, that exercise when you're in the mirror like this, because you're pumped.
Me
Look,
too well, Graham.
but,
I didn't know you was watching me in the gym. I don't know how you know all that
but
information.
it's because you smile when you leave, knowing that you're pumped and knowing that you can see a slight difference than the Ian who walks through in the first moments. So providing you can finish that, it puts a tag the next time to make you want to come back.
When I think about limiting beliefs, I think the first step is to recognize that it is a belief which is limiting them. If they don't recognize it, they can't go anywhere, can they? If they if they believe it so strongly that they can't do something, then they can't take that first step. But they need to challenge that belief. So they need to start questioning that belief. As in, because maybe that was taught to them.
Yeah.
Where do you think they come from, these beliefs?
So some of it can come back from parents telling, let's use the old Matilda, I'm big, you're little, I'm right, you're wrong, and there's nothing you can do about it. So straight away, you've got that sort of saying that's there. You've also, when it comes to limiting beliefs, it's because they've tried to do something. Now, as therapists, the word try implements fail. Therefore, I've tried to do it so many times that I can't do it anymore. It's never because you wanted to succeed. It's because you tried to succeed it. The other thing is, and this is my complete mentality, the mentality of Graham Webber, is if you, Ian, can do something, why can't I? Because you're a human and I'm a human. I may not be able to do it as good as you, but I can guarantee I do it. Now, whatever that may be. And I've challenged myself with so many different things over the years. I can't achieve everything. It's not that I can do it, can't do it, sorry. I can't achieve everything to the highest of standard, but I can achieve to a standard as to where it allows me to have a pitch forward. Just recently, in the last 3 months, I've learned computer coding and how to develop stuff. Why? Because I wanted to achieve a target. Could I do it as good as other people? No, but the more that I did it, I've now been able to achieve a hell of a lot more with that. And the biggest thing about all this is not about saying I'm going to lose 17 stone by next year. That's not even possible. But what I'm going to do by 4 months' time, I'm going to look to lose a stone. And I'm going to keep going until I'm at a good, comfortable position of where I'm going to achieve it. My aim is 4 to 5 stone. Okay. So it's not trying to just say, I'm going to do this and I want to see the results tomorrow. If you expect results tomorrow, you are on cuckoo land. What you need to realize is that, back to what I said before, we're going to use the term fitness. A fit person is not someone who does an hour a week. It's the person who does something every single day.
Small goals, isn't it? Start off with small goals and keep a step. I always think that to overcome a limiting belief, first of all, you've got to start. It's the first few steps, which is the hardest and where you're most likely to quit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you get over that barrier, over that limiting belief, as soon as you start to prove to yourself that actually I've been lying to myself the whole time. I've been telling lies, and then that is when you get that boost of, I can lose this weight, or I can run a marathon. I can lift this weight, whatever it is that you want to achieve. As soon as you give yourself evidence, then it's that wonderful thing that gets lifted off your shoulder.
100%. I'm aware of the time and for the time frames of what we've got for this evening, but I want to leave this with one last little bit of golden nugget, shall we call it? The next time you believe, I'm obviously talking this to whoever's watching this on the replay or whatever, the next time you believe you have a limiting belief about something, I want you to challenge it to your child. Now, I'm not saying, do you think mommy or daddy can achieve this? I want you to ask them if they reckon that they could ever achieve it or something. Now, a child doesn't have very many limiting beliefs. They'll go, yeah, I reckon I could. Or they'll say, yeah, I'll give it a try, or whatever it may be. And if they can give it a try, why can't you?
Yeah.
But because when we were younger, we don't have many limiting beliefs. I could climb that 60-foot tree I don't get would I do it now? No, I'm too brittle.
Yeah.
I,
Well, I
well,
tell
I'll
you,
give it a push.
I like that. I tell you what keeps me going. That is being on my deathbed and imagine seeing all the potential that you could have had in your life, and you just decided to ignore it. You decided not to do anything about it, and it's at that last point that you realise that you threw all your opportunities away.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go back to another limiting belief that I had. I used to believe I couldn't play piano other than EastEnders,
Yeah.
like that. And I believe I couldn't play the piano properly because back to my little dwarf hands, I never had a big enough span to do chords and stuff. Now, during COVID, so it would have been 2 years ago now, my son got our keyboard out. So we have a little keyboard for him to learn. And he wanted to start learning. And he wanted to download an app called Simply Piano. It was something like £70 for the year, but he wanted it. I was like, okay, if you want it, but you have to play it. Yeah. So he played the demo several times. Okay. He showed us some determination and then he stopped. He purchased it and then he bloody stopped, didn't he? So I said, I'm going to learn piano to the point where every single day, a little bit, all these chords. I remember in the end, quite comfortably playing Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. And there's many times, I can't actually remember the chords now, but there's many times I was in a little pub or something and I see the piano and I just start playing it and I'm like, oh, you can play piano. But this isn't back to Graham can just do anything, ultimately talented. I spent and it was like every day, it's about 15 minutes this app goes through each day. Sometimes if I'm enjoying it, I'd go a little bit longer, but I'd always make sure that every day I do that little bit because the notification comes up and so on and so forth. I also wanted to prove to my son that I could play piano just like how he could, and he could never stop himself. So there's nothing, and personally for me, there's nothing that anyone can't achieve. If you're not losing weight, it's because you're scared of something or you're comfortable with it. You're actually comfortable with yourself more than you actually realize. If you believe you can't achieve that goal, why can't you? Like I said, ask your child if they could achieve it. Or if actually look at them and just think, could they achieve it? I'd like to think anyone here could believe that any of their children could achieve anything if they were to put their mind to it. And most importantly, regardless of what you're doing, you've got to find a way to enjoy it. Because as soon as you don't enjoy anything, then it comes back to diets. A bland, neutral diet, you will never stay on it, and you'll always go back to the horrible, fatty, carbohydrated foods.
I think that's a very good point. If anyone's got any questions, please write them down or have them ready because I'll ask if there's any questions in a moment. So start typing if you do, because we're live on the Wolf Mindset. But I will say that enjoyment can sometimes be tough. Losing weight by eating the healthy foods, going to the gym when you don't want to. But sometimes enjoyment is about picturing what the end result is going to be, what you're going to get, what kind of quality of life you'll have. So the actual process might not be enjoyable, but the end result will be enjoyable, or doing your best to make it something that you want to do, you want to achieve, you want to get that goal, you want to hit that milestone, and just getting started and challenge that belief. Every single time you think you've got a belief, just challenge it.
And expect failure. Expect the failure. Please expect it. Because if failure happens, what happened, what approach led to that failure? So then, and take a mental photo. A lot of us don't use our brain enough. Take a mental photo. So then the next time you see that same image, that same approach, it gives you a warning. Lo and behold, a lot of people say we have anxiety. We don't. We're just trying to warn ourselves not to do something the same way as what we've done it before because it led to a failure of some sort. That's why we get anxious about doing things. So just take a note and believe in yourself that you can actually achieve it. But just if you ask a girl up or a man, whichever way around it is, with a cheesy chat online, it doesn't work. Do you go and use it again?
I never had much luck in any kind of department like that. That's the worst person to ask. But you're right. No, I wouldn't. No.
Exactly. But you would do the in-betweener stance every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's classic. Right.
So yeah.
It just goes to show that if you organise your time and you go through a little bit of out of your comfort zone, you can start learning all these new skills. I'm sitting here with a technical microphone now. I've got ring lights. You should see it. It's like some kind of spaceship now, which I never thought I could have a setup like this. But that was a limiting belief.
Yeah.
One step at a time. And
absolutely. And just by looking at them and we've had these conversations, haven't we? There's many bits of code writing, website. I'm one of them who likes to learn a lot about my own business to be able to do it. Yes, it takes a lot of time. It does take a lot of time, but I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about management. If you're managing your time wrong, you'll know you're doing it wrong because you'll get more stressed. Sometimes it can be just about talking. You manage it that way, whether it is you take a little bit of your other time out, which maybe you do, and prioritize it, whether it's about looking at your family time. I think that's something that has always come quite natural to me for the balance. I'm sure some other people will argue towards that, but yeah, finding that time. And just remember what I said before, 15 minutes a day. If you start with 15 minutes, then eventually that 15 minutes can walk inside other dimensions too.
That's a really good tip. I like that to be ended with. If you're going to start something, lose weight, learn an instrument, whatever it is, going for a jog, just 15 minutes, because everyone can achieve that. So thank you very much for that, Graham.
Anytime, mate.
So that's the end of this podcast interview with Graham Webber. There's going to be some links in the bios for you to click on in relation to adding your email and to join the Facebook group. So hopefully I'll see you next time. Thank you very much, everybody.